Well, like clockwork, today I did a reaction to one of Katie Hopkins' videos about how dystopian Britain is, and there goes some more dystopian stuff. So this video is about a couple who were dragged off from their homes by the police because they had the goal to actually communicate in a way that the school board just didn't find, they didn't appreciate it. And therefore, obviously, we get arrested.
6 police officers came to my house and arrested me. Why? Because I'd been talking about my daughter's school on a WhatsApp group. It was the morning of Wednesday the 29th of January, about 11:45. I was on a Zoom call for a work project, when on my Zoom screen, in the little window where I saw my own face, I realised that 2 police officers were standing behind me. Another 2 police officers were arresting my partner, Rosalind, in front of Francesca, our 3-year-old daughter. They bundled us into the police cars and took us off to custody at Stevenage Police Station, where we remained for the next 12 hours. He arrested me on suspicion of harassment and malicious communications.
Aha. Harassment and malicious communications. What? What is that? I don't know who wrote this law, but they need to go away because they can't English. Malicious communications. So what, if I insult somebody directly to their face, that's illegal? In the United Kingdom? So everybody who goes to a stadium to watch a football match and calls a footballer some kind of name, or a referee some kind of name, is that who we're arresting? We're arresting the entire stadium? Is that what's happening? Is that what's happening in the United Kingdom? 6 policemen. They focus on this a little bit in the video. I think it's a bit of sensationalism, really. That came out wrong. What I meant to say is I think there's excessive focus on this, including the whole music and everything. I don't really appreciate that sort of thing in reporting. But making our own minds up, I can't imagine a scenario in which I wouldn't have a problem as a police officer going to somebody's home for something like this. It's like, what's up with these stooges? Like, do you people not have any level of testicular fortitude to stand up to the disgusting worms that are sending you there? That is absolutely incredible. Right? But wait, it gets better. It gets better. Because I want to discuss a few angles on this.
And it was to do with a dispute with our daughter's primary school, which began with posts on a WhatsApp group. On the 23rd of November 2023, the head teacher of my daughter's primary school announced he would retire. But what seemed strange to me was the Board of Governors decided immediately to appoint the deputy head as acting head 10 months later without even advertising the job. So I made some...
Okay. Sure. It's not like the parents have any power. When you put your children in school, my friend, my balding friend, you delegate their existence and education to somebody else. So.
Inquiries. I contacted the chair of governors in private and in good faith and asked her to explain what a rationale was and what was going to happen. Her response, in my opinion, was rather evasive. So I asked again, and I wrote to all the governors asking them to explain what was happening and why they decided to do that. I posted that letter in a WhatsApp group. It's a private parents WhatsApp group. On that WhatsApp group...
It's a private parents WhatsApp group. It is a private, encrypted WhatsApp group. Now, the one thing that the police don't have is encryption keys. So, at least I don't believe so. Honestly, I don't know. Let's hope not. Let's pretend not, just for the sake of argument. So chances are somebody in that parents group is an infiltrated person. So if you complain about somebody in authority, well, that's bad, isn't it?
Like most parents, we chunted about a few things. One thing we talked about on that group was a letter from the school commanding all parents not to talk about the school.
Dear parent carers, with a space after the slash. Not bad. Friggin' animals, they can't write. Now, this is going to sound petty, but it isn't. I guarantee to you this is not petty. They wrote this in Comic Sans. Why is it important? Because these absolute monsters that toy with people's lives and destroy them, not only do they hypocritically believe that they are in the right and they are good people, they project that image consistently. Now, Comic Sans is a font type that is generally perceived as playful, child-friendly, childlike. There's nothing childish about this outside of the demented feelings of this individual, which are somewhat wounded, right? But let's read this beauty here. It is with regret, that I have to write this letter. Whilst the vast majority of parents support the work of the school and behave appropriately. Huh? What does that mean, behave appropriately? I mean, unless this man was going around the school naked from the waist down, playing air guitar with his genitals, I don't understand what that means. Who is the arbiter of what is appropriate? That's very important. There are a very small minority who choose to cause disharmony. Wow. Hooray for Orwell, eh? Disharmony. Okay. It has come to my attention that social media, including WhatsApp groups and Facebook, have been used to make inflammatory and defamatory comments about senior leaders in the school. Inflammatory is one thing. Defamatory is very different. Defamation is the act of basically lying about somebody to tarnish the reputation. Libel, slander, that sort of thing. That's defamation. Inflammation is, well, I'm setting aside the biological term or medical term. Inflammatory comments would be comments that stoke flames of discontent. Basically complaints. Have been used to make complaints and to slander. Okay. Of course, no evidence needs to be shown because that would require work and some degree of integrity. So we will just declare it, which is very common. Now, there's one philosophical problem underpinning all of this. I'll get to it hopefully by the end of the video if I don't forget. But let's continue. I would like to remind all parents that the school will take action where comments are aimed at individuals within the school community or, as a result, cause disharmony within the school or distress to members of the school community. Oh, blimey. Within the school community, what the heck is a community? Is it the people within the school at a given time? Or is it everybody in any way even peripherally connected? Like, for example, the parents and the grandparents of the children that are within that awful institution. Is it them? Is that the community? Because pretty much everything causes disharmony if the community is large enough. Just have a chat about, a football match where two individuals do not agree on the result. That will cause disharmony, won't it? Having any level of political disagreement. Having a disagreement about how a certain, say, education professional deals with a certain situation. That's disharmony. Everything is disharmonic whenever there's disagreement. And no, I'm not being pedantic before some fool mentions that, or this is also not a reductio ad absurdum. It is not. This is just factual. The terminology utilized by these people is vague. It's tremendously vague, which allows for open interpretation. By me and by them, just so we're clear. Therefore, anything can be disharmony. Anything can be inflammatory. The school will take action. Action of what sort? Okay. Last year, so Cowley Hill, I guess is the name of the school, have the highest levels of progress for any school in Borehamwood. Attainment at the end of KS2, I don't know what that means, was also significantly above the national picture. Oh wow, that means a lot, does it? How was it compared to 30, 40 years ago? Why don't you tell us that? Go away. As a board of governors, we are very proud of the work of Mr. Hood and Miss Thomas. I would also like to thank the whole staff for their continued hard work to make Cowley Hill the school that it is. Okay, this is the mother of all non sequiturs. So there's an accusation of nothing, followed by self-praise. Beautiful. I would like to thank you all for your continued support. Yours faithfully. You can't thank us all. Clearly, some of us have a problem.
On Facebook or social media or WhatsApp groups, we thought that was a bit off. My partner Rosalind made a handful of vaguely spicy comments. She referred to one school leader as a control freak.
Yes. John, Ted, whatever, Joanna more likely, manipulates people into thinking, oh there you go, into thinking she's their buddy. Then they spy for her. She's a control freak. Well, weren't you proven right, madam? Edited as well. Interesting. This comment was edited. Whenever you have an edited comment, what usually happens is that you sort of have a change of heart about what you were writing and you modify something. Maybe there are some kind of more colorful language in here, or who knows, or perhaps she's a control freak was added in the end. Who knows? Right? This is clearly a difficult situation to some extent.
She said the chair of governors didn't know.
Can you imagine what the action is they say they'll take? Exactly. Hello, 999. That will be the police, I think, right? I'm not 100%. One of the school mums said something mean about me in a school mum WhatsApp group. Please, can you arrest them? With two smiley faces. Yes, indeed. Aren't we smiling now? Jesus, you called it, madam.
Know much about anything. Out of the blue, on the 12th of July last year, the chair of governors wrote to Rosalind and me.
12th of July last year. Interesting. Dear Miss Levin and Mr. Haddo Allen, I write further to your recent communications with the school and the inflammatory and disparaging comments made on social media. Interesting. So now we are inflammatory and disparaging. We're not defamatory anymore. Interesting. You've removed the only crime. Like the only thing that is objectively a problem. Objective is a strong word. On the 7th of June, the school wrote to all parents requesting that social media was not used to post negative comments about staff or the school, which causes disharmony within the school community. In this letter, we made it clear that the school would seek to take action against parents/carers, this time without the spades, congratulations, you've leveled up, who continued behaving in this way. Once again, by the way, in Comic Sans, brilliant. In accordance with Appendix 3 of the school's published complaints policy and procedure, Appendix 3, I don't bloody know what that is. Ah, beautiful. When law is used as a cudgel against people who obviously can't have a clue. Right? Where the school deems communication to be unnecessarily persistent, unreasonable, and or vexatious. Vexatious. It bothers you in your feelings place, does it? The school will consider implementing communication management measures. Double space. Well, that's Oxford space. I mean, it's the first time using it? No, it's not. They used it further up as well. Never mind, they might be consistent. Okay, this may also extend to restricting access to the school's site. Oh, really? And pray tell, how do I pick up my children from school then? And how do I drop them off? Do I drop them off at a certain distance? 30 meters? Or 90 feet? Whatever the heck. Your recent communications have included, let's see, bullet point, a variety of messages about the leadership of the school and the appointment of the new head teacher in a year 4 WhatsApp group. Okay, so yeah, clearly you have somebody who is spying on you. Brilliant. So you can't communicate in that WhatsApp group. Sorry, that's how it works. Comments about the process around the appointment of a successor to the current head teacher in a group on Facebook. Blah, 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 whatever. This group contains 1.2 million members. So, if I want to complain about one individual who affects a certain amount of people, and there's 1.2 million members in there, what's the issue? Okay. Further comments about this were also made in a WhatsApp group, blah, blah, blah. Okay, nice. So you have the date. Beautiful. Copying a letter to members of the governing board on where you question the appointment process of the new head teacher with regard to the governing board appointing someone to take on the role of acting head teacher. Then copying this letter into a WhatsApp group. And what's wrong with that? Is the communication sort of like, is it under NDA? Did these parents sign an NDA? I don't think so. Non-disclosure agreement, that's what that is. I mean, maybe it is the case that crazier things have happened. By now, all schools have waivers that say, we're not responsible for your child getting hurt while your child is in these premises. Okay, anyway, that's an aside. Comments casting aspersions as to the capability of the chair of governors via WhatsApp, blah, 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 blah. Specifically, that really got under your skin for a couple of messages. Oh, sorry, never mind. Let's see if I can back up just a little bit. There we go. Maybe a little bit more? A little bit more. Nope. Yes. Okay, so this is the most I can see. The above are only a few of the numerous examples of unacceptable communication that the school is aware of. Goodness gracious, and the stuff you're not aware of? Dun dun dun, the plot thickens. The purpose of this letter is to request that there be no further communications of this nature. You got us a warning. Oh, that's cute. Should such communications continue and affect the school community, the 1.2 million, that's the community. Okay. The governing board will not hesitate to take action by introducing communication management measures with you and restricting your access to the school sites. Well, even if you restrict access to my school site, surely I can poo-poo on you on the internet, can't I? That's a public place. That's the king of all public places. Wowzers. That is crazy.
She accused us of posting disparaging and inflammatory comments on WhatsApp and Facebook. And she warned us that if we didn't stop, she would ban us from our daughter's school. So we pushed back. We complained. We denied the accusations. We complained that they'd been accessing our messages. Yes. And 2 days later, they banned us from the school. Now, this ban had really serious implications for our daughter, Sasha. She has epilepsy, she's disabled, she has special needs. We weren't allowed to have normal conversations with the school. We could only send emails.
Wait, that's your kid. I mean, I now want to take an aside because now I need to talk about this father. Now, not everyone has capabilities, So all usual premises put forward ahead of time. How in the world did you bear with your child still being in that school? To any degree. Here's what you do, my good man. On the day in which that email is sent to you, you take your child out of school. And that child doesn't return to school. Not another school, any school. I mean, you could go to a different school. I suppose, I don't know what limitations exist within the United Kingdom. I have never sent my children to the United Kingdom, to school in the United Kingdom, for I was not in the United Kingdom by the time I had children. But surely There's got to be a point in which you go like, oh, no. These kids are mine. This is my family. And you take them and protect them from this. When you are openly admitting, and I don't know if anybody else has picked up on this, is that you have allowed your children, your kin, your people, into a building where there's a restrictive order for your presence, and they still went there. Mate, something's seriously wrong with you. Like, you don't have, like, even if you couldn't take care of the children yourselves, between yourself and your partner, like, isn't there grandparents? Are there grandparents? Friends? Something? Anything? There's nothing. No alternative to let the kids go to this awful place where you know these awful people work, where you know you have been bad, and you know that at the very best they're going to attempt parental alienation on your children, disparaging you. And you can't be present to any degree. Like, mate, A, the children are yours. B, the school system is paid by you. C, the school system is your they are your employee. Right? They respond to you. They answer to you. Not vice versa. That is bananas, mate. If this happens to anybody else, take your kids out of school immediately. Doesn't matter what happens. It is your sworn duty, I suppose implicit, to God or whatever you want, that those are your children and you will protect them. I don't understand what happens here, but what you're saying right now, sir, doesn't make any sense. Now, rest assured, you are the victim in this case, but this shouldn't have happened. Your child should not be in school while you can communicate with them only via mail. That is ridiculous.
So we had to send emails about everything our daughter needed for her health and education. We were going through the school's formal complaints policy. And then on the 20th December, there was a knock on the door. It was a police officer. He showed up completely out of the blue. He told me in no uncertain terms not to contact the school, not to speak to anybody about the head teacher recruitment issue. He even told me to take my daughter out of the school.
Thank God, at least that the policeman has a brain. I don't think that he was the correct... I don't think it was the correct context anyway. I'm sure they said take the kid out of the school and go somewhere else, whatever. Okay, so perhaps I owe this man an apology. Maybe he was trying to keep fighting this fight like the proper irreverent Brit that he is. In which case, I take my hat off to you. I still wouldn't use my children as ammunition. But, you know, fine. The apology is rather small. But the police knocked on the door. Man, Europe is such an awful place. I mean, the UK is not in Europe technically, I guess, but it's not even just Europe, it's just the modern world.
In the end, we gave up, I suppose. We took Sasha out of the school. We arranged a transfer to another local primary school. Sasha's last day at Cowley Hill was the 24th of January. 5 days later, the police turned up.
Five days later? This has to be in retaliation. Has to be in retaliation. What were they doing to this kid? What kind of psychological warfare were they engaging in within those walls to alienate this child from the parents? I mean, if when the kid was taken out and then some sort of citation, I don't know if that's the right terminology, I'm sorry, English may fail me in this moment for this, but when you report a thing, a crime of some sort, an accusation essentially, to the police, right? I mean, 5 days after, and you've taken the kid out. It's awfully suspicious, isn't it?
When we were finally interviewed, the detective, who'd had no previous involvement with the case, he turned out not to have any evidence of those alleged crimes. He had.
And this is the key problem as to why frivolous crimes should not exist. Because when they do exist, then accusations are made. Let me give you an example to sort of clarify what I mean. Suppose that somebody accuses somebody of a heinous crime, something serious like murder, right? It is, while not philosophically consistent with innocence until proof of guilt, it is practical and logical to essentially detain the individual who is accused until they have been exculpated completely, right? So it's literally a practical thing, right? Now, an accusation of a crime such as this would be taken very, very, very seriously and very, very carefully, right? Surely nobody would be jumping the gun in any direction. Now, this accusation, this frivolous crime that makes no sense because it isn't a crime, like malicious communications, then leads to this sort of weird thing. And we live in strange times in which apparently an accusation is sufficient. But in this case, let's pretend that everything is semi-normal. Sorry, I went down a bit of a weird tangent. The point I was trying to make is because this thing is a crime, it needs to be treated as such. So this man and this woman need to be detained immediately to ensure that nothing is wrong. Or rather, to ensure that this accusation isn't real. Because if the accusation is real, well, you have a crime on your hand. It isn't, but yeah. So they get detained, and there's this chap walking in his shorts out of the house, handcuffed. What, did he pose resistance? What in the hell's going on? Okay.
No documents. He had no first.
Right. And he said that there was no inkling of evidence even being proposed to bolster the accusation. That is mental. What are the police doing? Is there no level of vague rigor? Wow.
Hand accounts. He just had a vague statement from the acting head teacher at the school. It was Kafkaesque. It was surreal. It was bizarre. It was horrific. Eventually, we were put on police bail and discharged at midnight. We got a £75 cab back to our house in...
He said £75 cab that they took to go back home, okay? By the way, who knows where the children were in the time that it's never mentioned, which I think is awful. These details about the money and the time are important, and I'll touch on them in a second.
Bournemouth. About 2 or 3 days later, a kind of PTSD.
Okay, this is a different topic. I want to touch on this now. So, you get accused of a thing. The accusation is found to be completely insubstantial. You are let go, and you go away. Where is the compensation for your time and your costs and your discomfort and your psychological damage? I suppose this matches what he's about to say. Where is the compensation? This must be compensated. The man is innocent. If the man is innocent, setting aside the fact that the crime isn't a crime, but if we were to pretend that the crime were a crime and the man were to, or if we were to talk about a different crime and the men were found innocent of that crime, there needs to be restitution. There needs to be a restitution. It is not right that this man has wasted an entire day, has had to pay expenses of his own pocket to probably sort out wherever the children went, probably from afar, sort out the transportation to return, and so on and so forth. This always happens. Injustices happen to people, okay? They are determined to be injustices. They get a small apology of some sort, or whatever. And bish bash bosh, it's all done. It isn't. That's crazy. You have just falsely accused an individual of something. I'm not saying that the individual who made the accusation should be punished, though that is a reasonable expectation, but that's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying that the individual who was falsely accused and has been found to be not guilty of whatever they were accused has no restitution for their waste of time, waste of money, and stress. That is disgusting. Yet it's absolutely default. And perhaps it's always been. I don't know. At least within the private sector, in some countries, not in the one I live in, if a company messes up, they usually apologize to you by offering you a discount, a coupon, something, right? If government messes up, that's fine. That's a champion. And the man isn't even complaining. At least he brought up the amount of money, even though it's way more than that. What about the time? When I work as an engineer, my time is absurdly valuable, right? You steal that much of my time, oh boy, that's a lot of money. It's not 75 quid, mate.
Began to kick in. I mean, did that really happen? Even now, 2 months later.
This is important. So, I want to touch on this. This happened to me in a completely different way and not involving the state. So, I was working for a company, and at some point I got reported to HR. Now, at the time, without question, I was rather, unpleasant in how I communicated things. I'm not sure that it has changed meaningfully. I'm just more attentive with what words I use. But there may have well been justification for this. I don't know if there was or wasn't. Because what happens to you when that occurs is you get taken into a room and you get given an interview of some sort. So you have an interview and your boss, your middle manager, right, is going to tell you that you have been reported. This is all you know. You do not know who. You do not know why. You do not know when. You do not know anything. And that the theory behind that is to protect the accuser. Well, okay. I don't even know what I was accused of. Okay, just so we're clear. Yeah? And I was just there waiting. I mean, he had nothing to tell me, the middle manager. We were just both sitting there. It was beautiful. So anyhow, the conclusion, if I recall correctly, I don't know, I was quite upset at the time, was that I wasn't going to talk in a certain way to somebody or whatever. I didn't even know, I didn't know a person. I just had no idea. It was all very, very nebulous. So by the time I come back, as I sit at my desk and look around at my colleagues, I just wonder, who has reported me? I have no idea. Right? Who can I talk to openly and freely, joke about something, complain about something at work? Whom can I do this with? And whom can I not? And that simply leads you to remaining permanently silent. To treat the place of work not as a place where you need to cooperate with people to make something larger than yourself happen. In my case, a video game. Right? What you end up doing is you do your bit and then you leave. You leave that room, you leave that office behind, and it's not part of your day. It becomes a slave-like chore, which I really can't stand, which is one of the reasons why I left and never looked back. Okay? But that has happened to me. This is what he's describing now in a weird way, because he's saying, we got detained, so his case is obviously dramatically worse than mine. I don't want to be crass in the comparison. It's just a comparison on principle. So he now returns home, and he goes, dude, what's happening now? Are they after me? Like every time he sees a cop, he goes like, oh boy, right? This is, by the way, a perfect example of when the police stooges, which is what they are now tarnishing the value of police. Police is an incredibly important entity in a civilization. Play with fire, Britain. See what happens when the police isn't trusted by its own people anymore, which is already the case. Well.
when I see a police car go by somewhere near our house, I shudder. I think, are they coming back for us again? Eventually, we got a call from the detective in charge of the case. He said to Rosalind, "We're taking it no further. I have found no evidence for these offences."
Well, in that case, pay me. That's what this gentleman and gentle lady should have asked for. Right? They should have gone, pay us, because you've wasted our time. And we're very upset now. We had to take our kid out of the school. I was barred from going to the school. If there's no evidence, someone has to pay for the false accusation.
And that was it. It was over. And even now, we still don't know what we're meant to have said or done, which was so terrible, or justified sending 6 police officers to our house.
Not only that, barring you from school.
I don't know if we're the first parents to get our collars felt by the police for putting a school's nose out of joint, but I hope we're the last.
Hertfordshire Police.
Okay, so let's call a spade a spade. Let's give the man some credit. He has gone through doing all of these interviews, etc., etc. This is making the rounds. I think it's going viral and everything. That's really how I learned of it. But yes, thank you for doing the service of publicizing this information. I am over NDAs all over the place. This mafia-like omerta that is necessary nowadays in order to not harm and disharmonize or whatever the stupid invented terminology they want to use right now. It's over. Talk. Openly talk. Openly express your disapproval. Openly express your disgust. Openly express your upset. Do it. Do it. These people need to be destroyed by shame. They need to feel it in their feelings place. Right? This is absolutely ridiculous. What has happened to you is unacceptable. So thank you for reporting it. Still wrong in not taking your child out of school and never taking them to school ever again, because what you're doing right now is you're implying that it was that particular school with that particular head of the school, etc. It's just a matter of time before the new school in which you're sending your child is going to have another lunatic just like that in charge. And then all school is disgusting. Parents, take your children out and look after your children yourselves. Reconnect with family. That is your family. That is your blood. Nobody else gets to poison while you don't even watch. Or in the case of this gentleman, you're barred from even being anywhere close. Incredible.
Has said, following reports of harassment and malicious communications, which are criminal offences, a man...
Which are criminal offences. Surreal.
And a woman from Borehamwood, both aged in their 40s, were arrested on Wednesday, 29 January. The arrests were necessary to fully investigate the allegations, as is routine in these types of matters.
That is ludicrous. The arrests were entirely unnecessary. You could have spoken to the people, told them that they were under some degree of surveillance from this perspective. You could have asked them to provide you with evidence themselves. It's called getting the counterpoint. Now, obviously, if this is treated like a real crime, like, for example, let's say somebody's accused of murder, you don't ask a murderer, did you do it? Right? The police surely know how to behave best, much better than I ever could, right? There's no question. But, this is a different type of investigation, right? It's an investigation on somebody's communication. Well, in that case, what you do before arresting anybody, you go and get the evidence of the accusation. Then you present the people who have been accused after you've studied it, right? Hey, this is what they're telling us. Is this a problem? This is what's happening, etc. You discuss this. You don't need to handcuff anyone. This is an obvious, plain abuse of power. And the stooges that did it are abusing their power. Through the shield, while hiding behind the screen, that they are just following orders. That this is the law and they can't do anything about it. You can protest and you can disobey orders. If the orders are disgusting, you have a duty to your people to disobey orders. Remember, your people are the ones you serve. The police as an organism serves the people. It doesn't serve politicians. It doesn't serve the party. It doesn't serve the metaphysical entity of the state. It serves the people. So if you disagree with something, walk away, stooge. Then you won't be a stooge anymore. You might be unemployed, but at least you will be honorable. Which is way more valuable, is it not?
Following further investigations, officers deemed that no further action should be taken due to insufficient evidence.
Oh, lovely. And then I'm sure the next page is going to explain to us exactly how the falsely accused were compensated.
A spokesperson for Hertfordshire County Council said an interim head was appointed for the one term to allow time for a proper recruitment process to be carried out. The role was advertised publicly and the recruitment was supported by external professional advisors. We are confident that this was a fair, transparent and timely process.
I haven't got a clue, but this sounds like this answer was given just because it was prized, it was forced out of these people. Right? Perhaps this is the answer that they could have given directly to the emails of these parents and the problem would have been solved. Just so we're clear, me pointing to that did not lead to what I wanted to hear. Like, I don't care about the answer now. You've ruined my life. I've already taken my child somewhere else. I don't care about the answer. What's going on? What is happening? This homework should have been done ages ago.
A Cowley Hill primary school spokesperson has said, "We sought advice from the police following a high volume of direct correspondence and public social media posts from two parents, as this was becoming upsetting for staff."
Oh, it was becoming upsetting for staff. Oh, the staff were upset. Oh, that really affects me in the feelings place. They were upset, guys. Therefore, we arrest people.
Parents and governors. We're always happy for parents to raise concerns, but we do ask that they do this in a suitable way.
In a suitable way, which is defined as?
And in line with the school's published complaints procedure.
And that was not in lines with the complaints procedure? Okay, there's faces of people here. Cool, blimey. That is mental. That is mental. I concluded my previous video with UK, I'm sorry, you're dead, or something to that effect. You're dead, buried, zombified, and killed again. I'm terribly sorry. But yeah, Mr. Boldman, whose name I don't remember, bold in both senses of the word, or rather, using both words, with the same pronunciation. Take your kids out of school. Look after your own children. You do not need government to destroy your life. Take them out. Yeah, I think it's even illegal to homeschool in the UK. I'm not 100%, so don't quote me on that. But enough giving the most important entities in your life to the most disgusting entity in the world, which is the state. Don't do that. Enough. Maleficent Communication. Let's write a law about that tomorrow. Cheers. Get on it.